Hello friends, this is Mindy Eggen for Pretty Pink Posh, and in today's video we are going to be working with some layered stencils and Glitz glitter gel. Here's a look at the stencil that I'll be using today. It is called Layered Letters from Pretty Pink Posh. It is a 3-piece stencil that adds designs to your background for the envelope and also some postage, and then it also has these hearts that are going to go on top of our postage and our seals for our letters. I'm going to use my Make Art Station, which is a magnetic station, and I have the magnets holding my stencil down over 80-pound white cardstock. I'm going to start by using the stencil that has the most open area on it, and I'm ink blending on Sandy Beach ink from Gina K Designs using my blending brush, going in both directions, so I'm going left to right and right to left to make sure I'm getting complete coverage of that open space. I'm going to bring in my next layer of the stencil, and for this one, I am going to actually mask off those postage areas that are going to be on the envelope. I'm going to do those in a different color. So once I just covered those with some Post-it tape, I am bringing in a darker brown, and this one is Kraft, covering in those areas. That's going to add some detail to our envelopes. Before I move on to my next color, I'm going to take a rag and just kind of wipe off a little bit of that brown ink. Then I can remove all those areas that I masked off. Now I'm bringing in Blue Lagoon, and I'm going to apply that over those postage areas with a mini blending tool. This mini blending tool is super helpful because then I don't have to mask off all of those letters. I can just ink blend this color over the area that I need to. I'll remove this layer of the stencil once I'm done to reveal what my background is looking like so far. And then for our final layer of the stencil, which is the hearts, I decided it would be really cute to have some red glitter hearts. So after I have those lined up, I'm going to hold that down with the magnets. And now I'm bringing in the Red Velvet Glitz glitter gel. And I'm going to apply this using my spatula tool that I have. I'm just scooping a little bit out. This really does go a long way. You don't need a ton of it. And I'm going to spread it over all of those open areas of the hearts. Now, after I kind of go through the entire panel, I'm going to just take my spatula and scrape off any of the excess. I'll carefully remove the stencil just by using my tweezers and carefully pulling the stencil up. I don't want the stencil to kind of fly back onto my project and smear my Glitz glitter gel. So I'm going to wipe up my mess right away and rinse off my stencil in the sink with warm water and soap. Then while this is drying, I'm going to work on my sentiment. And for that, I'm using these simple sentiments. I just picked out 3 of them that I thought worked together really well. I'm lining them up on some Blue Lagoon cardstock, and I'm going to pick them up with the door of my Misti. I'm going to be heat embossing these, so I'm going to prep the cardstock with an anti-static powder tool, and I'm going to ink up my sentiments using some white pigment ink and just gently stamp these down. I don't want to push too hard because I don't want to squish the letters and distort the message. Then I'll take this cardstock over and sprinkle on some white embossing powder and just tap off any of that excess. And once I have my heat tool really nice and hot, I'm going to bring it over and melt that embossing powder. I'll bring this over to my mini paper trimmer and trim these down into thin strips. And since I have some cardstock left, I'm going to go ahead and trim some more just plain cardstock strips. I sometimes like to use those to layer up my sentiments if I want to save up on some foam squares, and it also provides even coverage behind those small sentiment strips. After my panel is dry with that Glitz glitter gel, I'm going to actually trim some edges off of it. Sometimes it can leave ragged edges and I want to clean those up. So I'm going to bring this over to my paper trimmer and trim off about 1/8 of an inch from each side. That's going to make sure all of my edges are nice and clean. So this is going to end up measuring 4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to trim down a piece of a double-sided foam sheet so it's adhesive on both sides of the foam, trimmed it down to a little bit smaller than my front panel here, and then add that to a white card base that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm adding some liquid glue behind all of my little sentiment strips, and I'm going to just place them on the front of the card, and I'm kind of going at an angle just to kind of go along with the playful design that I have. I have a lot going on in the background, which is why I chose to just have some small sentiment strips, and I don't feel the need to embellish since I really want the letters to kind of take the center stage. And that's going to finish up my card project for today. I hope you enjoyed it and it has inspired you to create and play with your layering stencils.